The Clockwork Empress by Dark Year. If you like this story, please do subscribe and like the channel and also share it to your friends that who are interested in Overlord fan made. Credits to again to Dark Gear for creating this light novel. The Clockwork Empress, Chapter 1. Celine Cordell never thought she was amazing or incredible. She thought she was pretty and smart, but never thought she was the best at what she did. Her colleagues felt otherwise. To them, she was the golden dev, the one who made her mark on the gaming community. She was, according to them, invaluable as a developer. If she was on the team, you knew the game was going to be a fantastic hit. Her official title was General Development and Improvement Programmer. She wasn't technically an official employee of any one company and enjoyed her freedom to work in all departments as a contractor for any game projects. The few areas she didn't touch were mainly the storyboard writing, art and design, public relations, and marketing. Beyond those, she had help with everything else for multiple projects, hence being considered a prodigy in the field of video game development. Her approach to creating new engines, AI, netcode, feature programming, UI development, and even rigging and animation was a huge boon to whatever company acquired her contract. She never had a problem with finding a job. They were practically beating down her door to work on the next big thing in the gaming community. Celine didn't exactly need to work much anymore, as her main accolade was the reason everyone thought she was incredible. She had developed her own free time, a world creation tool that took multiple features and requirements of building and resources to create a random generation map that any team could use and considered all available space and restrictions. All someone had to do was to pick all available buildings they need as each village or even something larger like a city, the different needs to make the world feel livelier like blacksmiths and glass blowers, and it would build a breathtaking world with advanced topography and placement with advanced city planning and roads, as well as points of interest like a cliff near a waterfall. There were no odd rings or flat terrain issues under the buildings. It settled everything without sunken polygons or clipping, with hills and roads being in perfect sync. Due to this, the tool was used in almost all MMO games and she received royalties from its uses. It revolutionized game development from then on. This tool made it infinitely faster for the design teams to work on fine tuning and working on all other facets of the game without any issue with holes in the world, allowing patches and expansions to be quickly rolled out for many popular games. This wasn't her only feat. She had helped design multiple features for quite a few games that won her many entertainment development awards. However, despite what everyone thought, she wasn't effortlessly creating these incredible features and tools. She wasn't just walking up in the morning and knocking out incredible features for a dev team in a day. She had many sleepless nights, or nights she fell asleep still wearing dive gear or lying with her face smashed against a keyboard or desk. She tended to work from home half the time. She remained and she remained being at whatever company she hired her. Each time she showed up, they provided a VIP office specially set up for her. She hated them. She was most never in them due to needing to talk to the project leads in other parts of the building and would rather have a small station to sit at near them to throw ideas their way. She also remembered that all not all the features she had helped develop had worked perfectly. Some had been purposely scrapped in exchange for something else due to the difficulty of implementation. She remembered a few that were so frustrating. She got up and stomped around the room with everyone else noticing. If she threw a temper tantrum, it meant there was no change or of getting it to work and her patience had ended. It didn't mean that wouldn't try and create a replacement. Celine had just finished one more project, a first-person shooter with some sort of disease that took over humans as hosts. It wasn't classified as an alien shooter or a zombie shooter, but something entirely new. You never knew if your allies would suddenly turn on you due to the defective gas mask or some other issues and was immediately hit as soon as it was released. It was just more money to shove on the bank and try to retire early. After the release, the project C decided to take a plane home to California, San Diego. She didn't have any plants or pets as she was worried none one of her neighbors would help her water or feed them. As she picked up her luggage from a carousel and got into an auto taxi, she received a phone call. The young woman tried to shift in her seat to reach over her purse and bag to find her phone, but it was barely out of reach in a pocket on her backpack. J- just as she was moving her long auburn hair to unbuckle her seat belt to make a second attempt, the taxi barked around a loud warning. Please keep your seatbelt fastened until the vehicle has come to a complete stop. She was cupping her ears immediately, worried that she was going to get tinnitus. Oh, that is really oh. I'm going to give a complaint about that. She stopped attempting and simply waited. The call went to voicemail, and that was that. Once, once she was at home, she checked to see who would have tried to communicate with her and returned to call. Until then, it was brooding time about the loud taxi ride. She crossed her arms over an ample bosom and frowned. Once the taxi had stopped on the side of the road to her condo, she removed all her baggage, closed the door, and pulled out her phone. Before she could hit one button, the taxi started to pull away quickly, nearly running her over, or her foot over, before she could get back on the sidewalk. Hey, watch it! She snapped at the automated vehicle as it sped away. The dev unlocked her phone and touched the app to request the ride, autopay being provided by the previous company to get her home. She placed a scratching review and complaint for the ride, telling others to avoid them. As she dragged her luggage up the stairs and unlocked her front door, she listened to the voicemail via her earpiece. It was a request to call back an old friend of hers who lived in Japan. Celine dropped her bags off in her bedroom and went back to take a shower. She'd called him back after she had a chance to relax a little bit, as the flight had been giving her at least some jet lag. Once she was out and felt clean, she checked her refrigerator for food, which clearly was empty. She wasn't one of those people that left things to rot while she was away. She brought what she needed for the week, and that was that. She remembered she had some pasta in the cupboard and tomato sauce. as well as some meatballs in the freezer. Now felt like the best time for spaghetti. After she had eaten and sat down on her couch to watch a little TV, she turned to a news channel while using her phone to return her call to Suchi, another developer. Tonight's news record sales of new game Biotic Revolution reaches well over 50 million in less than 24 hours. This has broken. Hello, Celine? Suichi Kasakawa answered on the other side, his heavy accent bleeding through the receiver. Hi there, I'm returning your call. She looked down at the floor as she was no one to look directly at. Hey, I'm glad to hear from you again. How are you doing? Suchi sounded pretty happy to hear from his old friend. He remembered taking a few international courses with her in college. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yourself? A small smile crept on her mouth as her eyes flickered to the ceiling and her living room. You already know how well I'm doing after you helped me with our little project. See how well it's exploded in popularity now. Yeah, hehe. I can see that. Suchi was referring to Yggdrasil, the DMMORPG game that has become the most played MMO in Japan. No one didn't know about it, as there were also servers set up in US, Europe, Russia, and China, India, and Australia. For some reason, banned sales of it. Through oddly, the Middle Eastern countries welcomed it with open arms. So I know you just finished with that project. That was all over the news. His statement seemed to allude to a question just after. Yeah, I'm just relaxing now for a bit. Barely even look at my mail or emails. Her slim laptop was still stuck in her backpack. She hasn't even pulled out. A tablet sat on the top of her coffee table, and her phone, she just didn't like reply to emails due to the funky touchscreen. She really need to buy a new one. See. So now probably wouldn't be a good time to ask you for a favor. There was a request she was expecting. It depends on the favor. What do you have in mind? She didn't want to talk into a mess she might not be able to get out of, despite Suchi being an old friend. You know what? I'm sorry. I should really let you just settle back in. You've been in Texas for what, 5 to 6 months straight? I'm trying to get that project finished. This can wait a little bit, I think. How often do you get to go to home these days? I fly back at least once every 2 or 3 weeks. Also, stop that. You always do that. I'm not the one to rest on my laurels here. Is this a contract? Well, not exactly. She furrowed her eyebrows. Was he in trouble? If he doesn't want a contract, could he need help outside of development? So this isn't work? Celine crossed her legs and lay back a bit, flipping through the channels to a TV show or movie. She didn't really feel the need to watch the news focus on video game instead of something more interesting. Well, it isn't and isn't. Is it and isn't. She hated that. So she needed to get to the point. She was tired of people dancing around questions these past few days. I'm confused. What is this about? Suchi sighed on the other side of the call. You see, Yggdrasil has reached the end of his lifespan. After 12 years, it's been a great run, but now we're moving on to another project. Oh, okay. So this is what, an offer for a contract? She asked. He seemed to be dancing about what he really wanted to ask for her. No, well, sort of. Spit it out, Suchi. I know all I'm going to do is snap at you and you'll blur out everything smushed together in one sentence. She chuckled out. Okay, would you be willing to do a log dump read for me on Yggdrasil? I've got my hands full right now and so this is work. Look, I'm sorry. I know this should be official, but the shutdown is tonight and I'm not asking you to look through every log and report. Just feature usage and do a little analytic review. That's all. We want to try and implement some features that were major hits, but things that have changed a bit throughout the extensions and patches that well, we don't know what has popular from what the people use because it was the only thing available, right? Don't you have people to do that stuff anyway? Why me? Because you helped me create some of those features, and I really know those alone increased the player count by over 5 million. BS. You're just trying to stroke my ego. She laughed out. Her eyes rolled as she heard him chuckle. I'm serious. Look, I'd much rather have someone who actually knows what they're talking about versus some suit about thinking this and that are what the gaming community want. We've got a good reputation, and I'd rather have you with your amazing credit to this. And what, you want me to do it right at middle of midnight and call you after? What? No. I'm just hoping you could maybe log in as an admin before midnight and download the logs after the service would shut down. Brush through them and tell me what you think. Maybe tomorrow or the next day. Doesn't have to be immediate. Just want your opinion. Well, I'm kind of tired as it's 6 a.m. here and I just got off a jet. This is little bit too close to the dead end line to given you're 17 hours ahead. But well, I'll think about it. Please. Celine sighed and brushed her bangs back. She would much rather catch some Z's, but she did want to help her friend to get her next project rolling in the right direction. Alright, I'll log on.